Chapter 17. Return to Askustrad. The shuttle's engines vibrated in a low, steady rhythm, a constant hum that might have been calming if Briar hadn't felt like his entire body was falling apart. He lay strapped to a stretcher along the hull, ribs tightly bound, shoulder immobilized, vision swimming whenever the shuttle shifted through turbulence. Every bump sent a fresh jolt of agony through him. Lyra sat beside the stretcher, bruised and bloodied, her shield bracer cracked in two across her forearm. She stared through the narrow viewport as Askustrad base rose from a shining speck into a towering bastion of metal and reinforced gravis steel. Civilization. Light. Warmth. Life. Everything the frozen wasteland lacked. Yet none of it eased the weight-crushing Briar's chest. He closed his eyes against the light. The Vyre Strider's violet glare burned behind them, the sound of its voice etched into his skull, clinical, cold, amused by its own superiority. Incomplete, unrefined, termination pending. The memory made his hand twitch. Lyra noticed instantly. "You're safe now," she murmured. He opened his eyes and met hers. "Am I?" She didn't give the empty reassurance he wanted. For now. The shuttle descended. Spotlights swept across the landing pads. Medics sprinted in formation toward them. When the ramp lowered, cold air rushed in, followed by a flurry of white-coated personnel. They surrounded Briar, working with speed and precision. "Genesis dampener shows multiple overload attempts," one medic said. "His system, in shock. Deep tissue lacerations, partial rib break, arm trauma," another muttered as they ran scanners along his side. "He's lucky he's breathing." Briar tried to sit up. "I can." Lyra pressed a hand firmly to his shoulder. "Don't. Let them do their job." "You're hurt too," he reminded her. She smiled, tired, faint but real. "Not as bad as you." He didn't argue. Couldn't. The medics wheeled him down the corridor toward the infirmary as Lyra followed. But before she could enter, Commander Halen intercepted her, posture rigid. "Lyra, debrief now." She looked between Briar and the commander. Her eyes softened for just a second, but duty pulled her away. She stepped after Halen, leaving Briar feeling like someone had ripped a support beam out from under him. He barely remembered being moved to a private bay, the lights dimming, machines whirring around him. A nurse adjusted his sling and inhibitor, telling him to rest, to not force his output to breathe slower. When she left, silence filled the room like fog, heavy and unbroken. Bootsteps approached the doorway, sharp and practiced. Kara stepped inside, arms crossed over her chest, helmet tucked under one arm. Her uniform was spotless, her stance perfect military form, not a hair out of place. She looked at him, then at the monitors, then back at him again. "You're alive," she said flatly. Briar forced a weak smile. "Good to see you, too." "I saw the report," Kara continued. "It was pretty bad." "We lost people," Briar said quietly. "I know," she shifted her weight, "and you were injured badly." Her words carried no warmth, just fact. "What did you come for?" he asked. She took a breath. "Command is reviewing your field status." He felt something tighten in his chest. "Meaning?" "Meaning they're not sure you should keep being deployed," Kara said carefully. "Your inhibitor instability is making you a liability." The words hit harder than the Strider's claws. He stared at his lap. "I tried." "Trying isn't enough out there," she said bluntly. He swallowed hard. "Is that what you think too?" Kara didn't answer. She didn't need to. She stepped back toward the doorway, hand on the frame. "Get better, Briar, or you won't be part of the Genesis Combat Division much longer." She left without waiting for a reply. He stared at the empty doorway long after she was gone, feeling the sting of her words settle deep in his chest. He whispered to himself, "Yeah, me either." Hours passed. Lights dimmed into night cycle blue. At some point the door opened again, slow and tired. Lyra walked in, hair tied back, face bruised and exhausted. She sank into the chair beside him without speaking. They sat quietly together for a long while. "Halen said it wasn't your fault," she finally murmured. "Did he?" "Well, he said it wasn't entirely your fault. a small, rueful smile. Briar exhaled, comforting. Lyra leaned back in the chair. You faced a Vyre Strider, Briar, a fully elite Ion in a blizzard, injured, undertrained, with an inhibitor designed for kids half your size. She sighed. No one could have done better. You did. That's because my limiter isn't fighting me every second I try to use my abilities, she said quietly. Yours is trying to choke down output levels it was never built for. He turned his head toward her. Meaning your Genesis traits are advancing faster than expected, faster than the inhibitor can regulate. That's why your beams are unstable. That's why the backlash hurts. You're growing, but without control. His heart pounded. So what happens if I don't learn control? She hesitated, jaw tightening. Then next time you fight something like that, you'll either kill it or kill yourself. The words hung between them like frost. Lyra stood, exhausted but steady. Get some rest. We'll figure this out. He watched her walk out, the room growing colder the moment she left. The medbay lights hummed softly overhead. Outside the window, the gleam of civilization replaced the empty white wasteland. He should have felt safe. Instead, he felt hunted. He stared at the inhibitor glowing faintly beneath his skin, then whispered into the quiet. I have to get stronger before it finds me again.